What's up, people? I am back. Sorry I didn't do a video yesterday. I'm gonna still do You Only Live Twice. I probably was just gonna have to do it on the weekend now. But today, I'm reviewing a movie my friend Steve Kenobi recommended me. This is a while ago, and I've been wanting to do it. It just shit's been getting in the way. But today, I'm reviewing Southern Comfort. This is a movie I've never heard of. The only thing I've been told is the black dude from The Thing is in it, and Fred Ward's in it, and it basically is about um, Cajun against the military, and that's basically what it is. It's one of those movies where the story. I'm not saying the story doesn't matter, but it's definitely one of those movies where it's more about like the characters, about the dynamic between the soldiers, because they all have different personalities. Like the main soldier is a bad, not I wouldn't say a bad guy, but he's like an asshole, and pretty good caveat. Fred Ward, you got uh, Powers Booth, who I remember him from 24. He was the vice president in that show. But you have a pretty good cast. It's a pretty decent show. Movie, sorry. Kidding. I was talking about 24 for a second there. But overall, the movie itself is pretty good. It is it a little slow? For sure. Like, I definitely will say going in it's definitely a slower movie, but it's not boring. I think they make it compelling enough, and you do like the dynamic between the soldiers, and they don't hold back on some of the kills you see. Like there's some kills in this movie, and they don't hold back. Like there's a scene where one of the soldiers walks into a trap, and he gets like impaled, and it's pretty brutal. Like even when one of the um another soldier gets fucking capped. That was pretty brutal. Like they don't hold back in this movie in terms of the violence, but it's definitely just a good story. It's a interesting story. Like I definitely that's really all I can say about this movie, but it's an interesting one. But I definitely recommend it. You have a good just for the dynamic between the team. The story itself is pretty good. It's very basic, but I think it's a good survival kind of movie. Like I said, survival movies are always been kind of my favorite, and these soldiers having to survive several days in the bayou, So definitely would recommend it just on like it's a for like the performances and stuff. So yeah, tomorrow Hellraiser 7, not 7, Hellraiser 9, sorry. Hellraiser 9 Revelations. Never seen it. So I can like I said, I pretty much just hope it's as decent as the last one was. If it can just be decent like Hellraiser 8, not saying like obviously it's gonna be objectively good or it'll be anywhere near those first really three, but I even like four, the four first few Hellraisers. But if it can just be decent like the last one was, I can live with that. So we'll see about that one. And then Friday I will be reviewing 65. I'm gonna watch it again and review it. So but other than that, let's get started. So here we go. So Colonel Spencer and his battalion are meaning in a new let's say Louisiana swamp for training, and it's in 1973, and and Fred Powers Booth's character is a new add-on from Texas, and he's not really being well liked by some of the other soldiers, and and it seems like him and Spencer are like the only sane ones. So I really like that aspect. Like the story is very, what I mean thin, in the sense of it's just that it's really a survival film. If we're gonna be honest, like it's these soldiers having to survive in the swamp against the Cajun, because one of the soldiers fucked with the Cajun, because they end up finding their boats and ending up stealing them, and one of the soldiers shoots at the Cajun guy with like blanks, but the Cajun guys return fire like with actual guns and end up killing their general pretty brutally. Like it's like goddamn the escalation and them like, and yeah, they have to survive. Like there's a scene where they end up running into some traps. And then there is that I really like too in this movie, where like yeah, there's a bit of distrust starting to grow, because there's a scene where Powers Booth's character finds that one of the members has actual bullets, so he decides to take it away from him. So like there's like this growing conflict between those two, and then some of the other soldiers. It's like I kind of just it's definitely not going to be a movie like I'm going to watch like all the fucking time, right? But it's definitely an interesting character study of just these soldiers, and I think they really highlight that, like because this is like a year after Vietnam ended, right? Because it's 1973. You still have that like yeah, like that post Vietnam feel. So yeah, there's a lot of PTSD, and just I think they really showcase it, and I really just some of the scenes where they're just walking through the swamp. It's really done well, because I like survival isolation stories. That's always been some of my favorite stuff, where you're either by yourself or you're with just a group on this island or wherever you're stuck in, just any kind of jungle. And I think they really showcase that well in the deterioration, even just like between the soldiers. They end up running into some dogs who are owned by the Cajun, who are stalking them throughout the movie. They ward off the dogs. One of them falls in a trap, which is pretty brutal. Like he gets like impaled by some stakes, and like metal, like wooden stakes. And um, we find out that because there's a Cajun they end up taking like kind of hostage, who's like this one-armed guy who initially only speaks French, but we find out that he can speak English, because one of the soldiers basically tortures him, like dunking his head in water and nearly drowning him. Booth, I'm just gonna call him Booth because that's the actor's name. Um, Finds out about this, and they get into a fight to the death, and Booth ends up killing um that soldier, but he ends up becoming almost like a prisoner, because it's like they view him as a traitor. You killed one of our fellow soldiers, and it's like but you understand why this guy. It's like kind of like the guy in fucking um Platoon. Like he was doing some fucked up shit, and it's like I really like that they highlight that. And but it's just a all around just good story, and I definitely recommend it. Like it's not gonna be a movie like I just said. I'm not gonna sit down and watch this all the time, but I just like it because it's just a good story. Like you have a good cast. Fred Ward's great. I like you have a young Fred Ward. You have Powers Booth. Um, fucking uh, the dude from The Thing, who I thought did really good in this movie, and um, and it does. It is a little bit slow. It's not like an action scene kind of action movie where there's action constantly, or you know it's definitely a slow burn. But I think it's worth sitting through just because you get some really good. It's a character story that very much is. That's why I'm not really going into the plot like that, because it's definitely more about the dynamic between the soldiers and then or the Cajun. And I think that's kind of what it's one of those movies. So yeah, you're not going to necessarily be as. I'm not saying you're not going to be invested in the plot, but I think it's definitely more you're invested in the characters. Even them going to into town. I thought that was a pretty nice scene where you get to where it was like a quiet moment for a little bit because they're in town, but then the Cajun that they ended up uh running into nearly killed him. Who the Cajun who's the one who killed the general early on, end up kind of get them. They end up Booth and Fred Ward's character end up getting successfully beating them, and then or not fucking Fred Ward Keith Carradine's character. Sorry, as the he's this him and Booth are essentially the two main characters pretty much. Hayden is Booth's name, and Keith's character I think was Spencer. That's what his name was. Okay, sorry, I don't remember every single name, but just an all around well done story. He sucks that some of these guys died, but it's a survival story, and I like the scene too where they almost you think they're about to get out because they see a helicopter, but the helicopter doesn't see them, and it sucks. And yeah, they have like no weapons. They're being hunted by the Cajun. It's a and if you like kind of jungle ish stuff, you'll like this kind of movie. I think it's on YouTube. That's how I watched it. I watched it on YouTube. The whole thing's on there. So, but after killing the remaining Cajun that were hunting them, they managed to get back in the bayou, but they end up seeing a helicopter, and it turns out it's a U.S. military helicopter, and basically they make it safety. And I actually like the music they were kind of playing throughout the movie. Kind of, yeah, it's a little generic, but I think it works for the movie. It's kind of somber. And I'll tell you that too. This is definitely a movie that is a bit on the somber side. Like, I mean, besides like it's uber violent, it's very like just it's a lot of like yeah, there's some camaraderie in the beginning, but it definitely kind of goes dark pretty quick. So it's not like a lighthearted movie. So that's why like it's definitely not going to be one you can just put on anytime. But it's if you want to just get some good performances, I'd say watch it. So, but the music's good. It's a solid story. Story, like I said, is solid, but it's more about like just the characters themselves and the dynamic between the teams. So I'm happy Stig recommended me this. I really liked it. I even think the poster is kind of cool, and I do definitely think more people need to know about this. But yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 film. I know I didn't really go into uber detail, but it's just one of those movies I feel like you kind of got to see it and just watch the characters. It's more of a character movie. It's not like like about the story like person. Story matters, but it's definitely more of a character kind of movie. But it's all I can really say. It's a solid flick, and yeah, Hellraiser 9 tomorrow. I'm hoping it's better than the fucking last one. If it's as decent as the last one was, I can live with it. We'll see. I don't know. I think we got like two more. So I think there's one in like 2018. So I got like two more movies. But if they can just be decent, I know they'll never be even like even the fourth film. But if they can just be decent, that's all I really want. The last one was pretty decent. Granted, Lance Henriksen was in it, but if they can just make this one decent, give Doug Bradley even just a couple decent scenes, I can live with it. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. 65 review Sunday. Friday. Sorry, 65 review Friday. Probably nothing Saturday. Well, actually, no. Saturday I might review for sure. You Only Live Twice, either Saturday or Sunday, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So other than that, I'm gonna take one more hit and go watch It's on YouTube. It's only an hour and a half. It's on YouTube, and it's a pretty good quality version too. So but as usual, fuck Joe Biden. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.